Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today on new Microsoft Teams features. My name is Michael Sugrue. I'm the president of Pace Technical. Got a lot of stuff to get through today, so I'm just going to jump right into it. First off, just going to introduce you to the team with you today. Joined today by my partner, Shale Risman. Say hi, Shale.
Hi, Shale.
And as well, we have our Director of Technology, Noman Ahmed. Say hi, Noman.
Hi.
All right. So Noman will join us later on at the Q&A, and Shale is going to be giving us a little demo on a couple of things that we use here Teams-wise with Pace. So let's just keep moving along. I think a lot of people on the webinar today probably know us, but if you don't, we are in business over 20 years, primarily a proactive managed IT support business, as well as managed cybersecurity, managed cloud services. We're also an ISO 9001 company for several years, and for the last 5 years, been a great place to work. So really the simple way to describe, we provide all the basic services that a lot of IT companies provide, monitoring, backups, etc., ticketing, but most companies work with us for the proactive services that we provide. If you haven't been introduced to us, love to have a conversation, and there'll be lots of ways to connect with us later on in the webinar. So let's keep moving. Here's our agenda for today. Want to look at quickly at the benefits and trends of Teams and virtual tools. A quick look at cybersecurity, because some things have come up in that area around Teams. A very quick Teams overview, although I will give you lots of other additional resources for Teams training today. And then we're going to look at some of the new and coming soon features for Teams, as well as a quick look at a couple of the apps we personally use here at Pace in Teams. And then we'll finish it all up with a Q&A session. So I am going to just turn off my camera just to make sure it doesn't get in the way of any of the content here today. So we thought we'd start things off quickly with a poll question. What topic would you be interested in learning more about? We've been doing lots of these educational webinars. We want to continue doing these. So just interested to hear what people are interested in. So cybersecurity and phishing, IT planning, moving to the cloud, backups, disaster planning, Microsoft 365, and emergency preparedness. So I'm just going to let this, go for another 20, 30 seconds or so. Just for reference, if you wanted to look back on any of the other previous webinars that we did, you can see the link on the bottom of the screen there, our website, pacetechnical.com, and go to the Media Center link. Okay, there's still one or two trickling in, but I think we've pretty well got everybody in. And thank you for doing that. I'm just going to share the results right now, and hopefully that is showing up right now, so we can see the majority is all around Office and Microsoft 365. So obviously we got the right topic for today, but we'll definitely keep some of the these other ones in mind for everyone for our upcoming webinars. Okay, so let's jump out of this and get going. So obviously lots of changes thrown at us with the pandemic this year, turned a lot of people's personal as well as business lives upside down and sideways. So it's really forced us to adapt and make lots of changes, both personally in our business. And one of the ways has been using tools like Teams and other collaboration tools. Like, we're not only depend on these apps to stay connected with family and friends, but definitely need them to stay productive while we're working remotely. So here at Pace, we were already pretty big users of Teams even before this pandemic hit us and lots of people working remotely. So it was great that we were pretty fluent and kind of ready to go. But in our business, I still love, the culture and having people meeting internally and whatnot. And we do a lot of meetings. Like every department has a daily huddle. We have weekly meetings in every department. We have a weekly all staff meeting. And I have to say, using Teams, it's helped us to really not skip a beat with any of these meetings and keeping people productive, keeping everyone on the same page. So, if you're not using it and you are still working either in a partial, fully, or even not remote, we found great value in it even before the pandemic hit, keeping people on the same page. So I highly recommend it. But obvious benefits: keeping people together even when you're apart. Communication happens instantly instead of having to, walk down the hall, chat and starting a meeting instantly. Can save a little bit of time. Also time moving from meeting to meeting, certainly one end of the office to another, or having to get in a car and drive. Those things kind of go away. Also, there's lots of tools with these collaboration tools to preset agendas and really have a lot of structure and documentation around the meetings. So that stuff is great. Obviously, virtual tools on mobile platforms as well definitely makes it much easier to use. So Teams, certainly Microsoft 365, but Teams, like the popularity of it has grown. You can see the spike here in the graph to the right around when the pandemic hit. And it's saying now that, and I don't even know if this is actually accurate, it may even be higher now, but 75 million daily active users in Teams right now. Looking at this chart, that's pretty astounding. And certainly the adoption of Microsoft 365, and by the way, it's Microsoft 365, not Office 365 anymore. They've gotten rid of that. Certainly things keep changing with Office 365. They're pouring tons of money and resources into all the apps, including Teams. But now at 258 million paid seats, that's pretty huge. So along with that popularity, though, it opens the door to another industry that we're all familiar with, the cybercrime industry. So if you didn't already know it, welcome. October is National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So happy Cybersecurity Awareness Month, everybody. But as I mentioned, with the popularity of Teams and 365 in general, is opening the door to opportunities. Like cyber criminals now have one platform to concentrate on. Like they don't have to try and figure out thousands or hundreds of ways to come up with content to fool people when they know that already millions and millions of people are using these applications. So just threw up a couple of examples of phishing emails. Obviously, that's what's pretty rampant these days and the biggest thing they have to watch out for. But the example on the left here, just showing that a new Teams file has been shared. This could pretty well fool people easily, especially if you're newer to Teams and aren't used to getting, emails. I don't necessarily have email notifications set up in a lot of areas of Teams. But if you were to click on any of these links within the message here, it would ask you to log in to Microsoft, to your Microsoft account, which would look very, very legitimate and exactly like the Microsoft login. But once you put in your credentials and it's too late, that hacker now has your credentials and can wreak all kinds of havoc within your company and Office 365. The example on the right here looks like a link to an audio file. I would think would be a little bit suspicious. But again, we just got to stay vigilant with emails and watch what you click on within an email. If anything looks suspicious, if it's something related to Teams, all this content and notifications would be in your activity feed in Teams anyway. So in doubt, don't click on the link in the email, go to the source. If it's another email asking you to click on something like your bank or another leading you to another website, just don't click on the link in the email, go directly to that website and look for whatever information it's trying to alert you to. So we have, just so you know, we have an amazing product that helps with phishing Many of our clients are on it. It basically will block access from people to going to these malicious sites. If you're a client and you're not on it, certainly talk to your strategy team about it. If you're not a client of ours, be happy to have a conversation with you about it. You can just throw your name in the chat, or you'll see my email, mike@pacetechnical.com. Later, you can send me an email. But as far as Microsoft 365 goes, two other recommendations that I would make to people. The first off is utilizing two-factor authentication for your 365 account. Just that extra layer of security, just because it is such a targeted thing at the moment. And the second thing is considering making sure you have third-party backups for your Microsoft 365. I think most of our clients either have that or have been alerted to it. If you're not a client of ours, talk to whoever helps you with your IT and ask them about backups for Microsoft 365. So obviously this pandemic and lots of people working remote is another reason why there's heightened activity going on in cybercrime. Why people end up having the issues and get fooled. Criminals are looking for a lack of organization. Everybody's got tools. I'm sure everybody on this call has a firewall, antivirus, spam, monitoring, etc. But where the cyber criminals look for is a lack of proactive management process and a lack of alignment to specific standards, security controls. Just threw the stat in here, 60% of breaches involve vulnerabilities, which a patch was available but not applied. So again, just kind of highlighting the lack of process and procedure. And lastly, a lack of user training and awareness. So if you already don't have a program or any kind of regular training, even if it's just access to free training for your people, something you should seriously consider. You just need to keep these things top of mind with all of your people. So I wanted to do a real quick review of Teams. First off, just the versions. Teams doesn't come with every version. This I pulled from the Microsoft page. The only one it doesn't come with for business, okay, certainly with home editions, Teams is not included. With business, it doesn't come with the feature or with the version that only includes apps. So 365 apps is you basically just getting access or renting access to Office apps, Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, etc., but doesn't include the email feature or SharePoint. And because Teams primarily runs on SharePoint as the back end, as well as Exchange Online, if you don't subscribe to those two things, you really can't run Teams. If we look at the enterprise versions, it looks like it comes with every version here. If you actually go on their website, it looks like it's not included in a couple of areas, but once you expand it down, you see Teams is included with all these. What's not included in these two other versions here and here is phone system functionality. So with Microsoft Teams, you can actually utilize it as your business phone system and be able to make standard phone calls, voicemail, automated attendant, etc. Okay, so I wanted to just jump screens and jump quickly into Teams. Just a quick, very, very quick look around. So first off, looking at the menu down the left here and even backing up one step further. So for those brand new to Teams, basically Teams is a collaboration platform, allows you to have conversations via chat with both individuals as well as groups, to have meetings over voice and or video, again, with individuals or groups, and then also to share and collaborate on documents also with individuals or groups. And by the way, those individuals and groups can be either members of your organization or they could be people outside of your organization. So in that light, it's a pretty worldly app. Just to look around Teams, we'll look at the menu on the left here. The activity feed is basically just showing if people react to a post that you made or include or name you in a post or any kind of activity that happens within a team or a channel or a chat that you're involved with. I think with most people, the chat as well as the team features is going to be the biggest area that you're going to be spending your time in with Teams. So chat, again, is just like one long chat. You can set up chats with individuals. You can also have chat with groups of people. You can actually even name the group if you like. So I made a test group here. We also had a COVID task force that we created, both to help internally with our people as well as externally with clients, just checking in how everybody is doing with their business and whatnot. So you can customize even chat and put titles on them. You can also share documents through chat, and there's lots of features down at the bottom here for formatting your messaging, your text and whatnot, attaching documents. You can see and share files with individuals as well as with groups. You can start a video call, audio call, pop out a chat, etc. Continuing down the teams. So again, this is the second area where most people will be spending their time. So basically, teams are made up of, well, you'll have one default team that's basically your organization, but underneath that, you'll have, whether it's departments or functional areas in the business, it might be projects, it might be social related. We have a social committee, and we've been doing some fun online things during COVID with our people, or other groups of people. And then underneath teams, you have what's called channels. So if I was to use an analogy of a house, the team would be the house, the channels would be the rooms within that house. So everybody gets a default channel called general. You can add more. You don't have to add any more channels than just general. You'll see with some of ours, we just have the general, and that gets by just fine. But with some of them, if you have a lot of other things going on, that you can just add channels, add different people to the channels and whatnot. So channels work a little bit differently with messaging. It's actually meant to be individual threads and conversations versus just one long chat is one long conversation, and chats within individual teams and channels are more category based or topic based. But you can also, do meetings, chat within channels, share files within channels, etc. Continuing down the calendar, so these calendars integrate with Outlook, with your Office 365 Outlook calendar. You can start meetings from here, schedule meetings, Teams video meetings. Calls is just allowing you to call individuals within your group. If you had the phone system functionality, you would get a dial pad here and be able to make outbound phone calls. Files just shows a listing of all the files that I personally have access to or that have been shared with me. Then this 3-dot menu is just where you can add in more apps. There's another apps link down here where there's a whole slew of apps that you can add in. Looking across the top, there's a search feature up in the top. And moving across here, there's a toggle switch. So this allows you to switch between organizations. Pace Technical is obviously my primary organization, but I'm a member of another one. You can only look at one organization at a time. So you can toggle here back and forth between the two. And then lastly, the icon here with my picture just allows you to change your profile picture, change your status, set a status message, look at saved. You can save individual files as well as conversations to look at later. And this is where you go to access those. There's the settings feature, which there's a whole bunch of general settings, privacy, change notifications, change the devices that you use, audio, video, your camera, etc. Set permissions. So lots of things in there. So I did want to keep it short and sweet today, as far as just a real quick overview. Down here is where you go to join or create a new team. And then within teams themselves is where you can go to add a channel, add members, leave the team, edit the team. So basically, you'll see a lot of these 3-dot menus all throughout Teams. That's where you get extra menus to do many different things. So if you are newer to Teams, I'm not going to leave you in a complete lurch. I've got lots of resources for free training. As I mentioned, I did a webinar back in March. I'll say 99% of the content from that webinar is actually still valid, very valid today, although they have built on functionality. Everything that I went through is a really good, thorough training on how to get up and running and maneuver your way around Teams. So go to our website, Media Center and Webinars, and you can find access to that as well as any other training webinars that we've done. If you're a client of PACE, you've probably accessed our custom portal that we provide for you. If you go into your portal in the university section, you'll find access to Teams training there. There's both a standard as well as advanced training. For those who are not PACE clients, this is a custom portal our clients have access to. It's got lots of video-based training that we provide for our clients, cybersecurity training, training on all the Office suite, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, both basic and advanced training is all there. And there's other training on business topics and things like that. So if you're interested, I'd be happy to give you a demo if you'd like to have a look at what is included in our custom portal. Again, throw your name in the chat or send me an email, mike@pacetechnical.com. All right, so now we want to jump into the new Teams features. So obviously Microsoft has been pouring a lot of money into all the 365 apps. Things are changing on a regular basis. I'm an admin user within our 365 portal, and I get a daily digest, and I'm telling you every day, there must be at least 10 plus things that are changing throughout all these apps and new features that they're constantly adding and really banking on the future of 365 and the 365 apps. So the first feature that we wanted to show you, it's a familiar feature in some of the other apps. In some ways, Microsoft is catching up a little bit on a lot of the features of like remote meeting apps and things like that, like Zoom, for instance. But now you have the ability to control who has to wait in the lobby and a little bit more control over meetings. So I'm just going to show you because it's not that straightforward. I'm going to jump back into Teams. It's not that straightforward exactly how you get to the meeting options. So I could first going to show you if I just went to my calendar. If you go to set up a new meeting, I'm just going to show you this because there isn't anywhere in here to set any of these meeting features or meeting settings within here. You got the basic thing, the time and adding attendees, etc. But once you actually have the meeting on the schedule, you can go, I have a test one here, you can go and double click and open it. And now you can see that up here at the top, we have a meetings options link. A lot of people never really notice that. As well as anytime you have a Teams meeting and it's sent through a calendar invite, you know that to join the meeting, you can always open up that calendar invite and click on this link here. But a lot of people don't notice right underneath it in very small print is meeting options. So this is where you go to change those settings. So I'm just going to click here on meeting options. And basically it opens up and you make these changes within a browser. So you have to, log in to your Microsoft. And as I mentioned before, it's a good idea to have two-factor authentication just for additional security in place. Highly recommend that. But anyway, so it's going to take us to the meetings options page. So here's what you can see. The first option is who can bypass the lobby. So, it defaults to people in your organization. And I think probably the primary reason you might want people to wait in a lobby if they're not members of your organization, or if maybe you have an important meeting and you want to do some additional prep, or you're going to be sharing a PowerPoint and you want to have it all ready in presentation mode, all ready to go before you allow people in, and you want that to be the first thing that they see. You can control and just It just requires you to press a button to admit people into the lobby. So the options are that you can allow everybody to bypass, and anytime you run a meeting, whether they're in your organization or out, everybody can get into that meeting without being stopped. Or people in your organization and trusted organization, or the default, which is just people in your organization, or you can set the meeting to just yourself. And anybody that's going to join the meeting has to wait in the lobby until you allow them in. Maybe you want to allow a few people in first to a meeting and have a quick chat with them, and then allow a couple of other members. Might be a reason that you would use this feature here. There's also a little toggle switch for people that call in, because you have the option with Teams meetings that you can just call in through a phone. So it's automatically set to no, but you can change it to yes if you want. Announce when callers join or leave. That toggle switch is here. And then who can present. I'll obviously set those security controls here as well. So I'm just going to jump out of this and back into Teams and show you that there is one other place that you can go. And funny enough, this is the only other place that you can actually find this menu is actually after you start a meeting. So I'm just going to go ahead and join this meeting here and get it started like I normally would. Now this actually only works when other people are not involved in the meeting. So if I had the meeting going and all the participants were there, I wouldn't be able to see this. But again, it's a little tricky to find it. You click on show participants to get the participants little window open, and you'll see you get this little 3-dot menu here. If I was already in the meeting, this 3-dot menu would not show up. And then you could click there, click on manage permissions. Again, it opens up and takes you to this web page with the same options as we just saw before. Okay, so I'm just going to jump back into our PowerPoint here. So the next thing I want to show is suggested replies. If you've been using the mobile app, and I highly recommend the mobile app, it's very, very handy. You may have already seen suggested replies because it's existed in the mobile app for a while. They're just rolling it out now new to desktops. I don't even have it on mine personally yet. But again, it's just showing some available quick access options just to make things quick and easy for replying to someone. Probably a lot more handy on a mobile phone than the desktop. But it uses artificial intelligence, and of course they ask for feedback to try and help to see were these answers relevant and whatnot next time that you use it. The next thing I wanted to show was search, and it's basically a shortcut within search. Some of you might be saying, wait a minute, I already know that there's a search feature within Teams, but it's a little bit different. So I'm just going to jump back in. Everybody knows about this search feature, whether you actually use it or not, but at any time I can go up and just, if I wanted to search for any type of a keyword, I can do that and it'll give me all kinds of responses of every area within Teams. The word security shows up, whether it's a file, a conversation, a team, etc. Also up here, I can use the find feature, which is just a / and the word find, and if I enter, it's going to ask me for where I want to search. Do I want to search within a particular channel or a particular chat? And I'll have to just come down here and select which of those that I want, and then I can select the keyword within those chats or channels. So this is probably most relevant for somebody if you have a larger organization, or you have tons of documents, or you have tons of conversations, or you remember, I had a conversation with this about this very topic a couple of months ago. Besides trying to scroll through everything, you can use this and get in there. Well, just to show you the new feature, which works, by the way, both in chat as well as Teams, if you happen to be in a particular channel or whatnot, you can just use Control F, and you can see once I type Control F, it automatically does a / find command up at the top, and it automatically populates the channel that I'm in. If I was in a chat, it would automatically populate with the particular chat that I was in. Then I could just type in any kind of a keyword, and it will bring up anything related within this particular channel for that feature. So just a little quicker access to a search feature. So just going to jump back quickly here. And the next thing I wanted to go through was together mode and large gallery view. So if you're using Teams now, and you had enough people on a video call, you may have been able to test this out. But basically, together mode is basically making an avatar of each individual user and then pasting everybody into a common background. This at the bottom here is at the top here is a view. This was our all staff meeting. Last Friday, I just did a quick screenshot of us all in together mode. You can see the current together mode is just like a big auditorium view. The bottom here is a sample view from Microsoft of large gallery. So a standard gallery, I think, goes up to, I think it's 10 users, and then it opens up to the large gallery if you have 10 or more people. But you can see the difference being the standard view is everybody's individual background. I guess the idea and thinking is that together mode, everybody on a shared background is maybe a little bit easier on the eyes. Also makes it feel like you're all together kind of in one room, which is kind of a cool feature. So I'm just going to jump back into Teams here and just wanted to show you. First, I have to leave this call. Sorry about that. And we'll jump back into Teams. And I already have a little test group here. And I'm just going to call my test group so I can just show you where you access a couple of these new features and talk through a few other things. And we'll wait for everybody to answer here. All right. So now that I have at least 4 people, I can come up here to the More Actions menu when you're in a call. Hi, everybody. Say hi. So I can click up here. Right now, you can see that I'm on the gallery view, but I can toggle down here to together mode. By the way, you need a minimum of 4 people to be able to utilize it. Otherwise, I think it either doesn't show or it's grayed out. But if I click on it here, it's going to change the view, and now it's going to put everybody into an auditorium. Kind of cool. So the max capacity for either together mode or for the large gallery view is 49. A couple of other things that I wanted to show you. So I'm going to ask Mel if she wouldn't mind sharing her screen or sharing a document or something like that, just so I can demonstrate focus mode. So focus mode is just a way to try and take some distractions away. And until somebody's presenting, focus mode actually doesn't show up in this menu. But you can see it right here. It says focus. So what focus does basically is just hides the video feed along the bottom. As you can see, just so people will focus a little bit more on the presenter and what the presenter is showing, I could turn it off again and then allow people's video feed to show back along the bottom here. Thank you, Mel. You can unshare your screen. I appreciate that. The next thing I wanted to show you is they've added in another feature if you wanted to show video that you can include computer sound. I kind of thought this was always there, but I'm told this is a newer feature. So if you did want to show video with computer sound, you just toggle this switch right here. But one of the other features that I wanted to show you, and a lot of people don't know or probably haven't even used, is the whiteboard feature. And a couple of new things have been added in here. So you would just go to share content and click on whiteboard, and you'll see the whiteboard is going to open up. So the whiteboard just allows you to both yourself as the presenter, as well as any of the people on the call with you are all able to add things, as you can see, onto the whiteboard in different colors. You can, add text in a nice, clear, in a nice, clear manner. But they've also added in sticky notes, which are kind of cool. You just click to add a note, and you just click to add a note, and maybe you're having a brainstorm session. You might kind of simulating what you might do actually in a work environment. A couple of ideas here. Anyways, so you get the idea, and then as you go through those, you can get rid of those. So just wanted to throw that up there for everybody to have a quick look at. And with that, I will say goodbye, everybody. Thanks for your help. Oh, wait, before you go, one more thing, live captions. Almost forgot. You need to be in a group meeting, but if you turn on live captions, basically, and I may need to just stop sharing my screen. There we go. And now with live captions, let's see if that will go away. And I don't think live captions has been turned off. Let me just turn it off, and maybe it's because I'm doing a Zoom meeting and trying to do a Teams meeting with multiple people at the same time. And maybe because my Microsoft is, my microphone was muted within Teams, but now you can see that it is basically dictating everything that I say. It'll also dictate everything that any other user will say, and you can record this and keep a record of it if that is something that you wanted to keep a record of as well. But all those features, again, up here in the More Actions feature here. And now I will say thank you, everybody, for your help, and we can end this meeting. All right. So, Teams the capacities have changed, as I mentioned. Users, the amount of video up to 49. A member can be you can be a member of 1,000 different teams. You can have 10,000 total members in a team, 100 owners. So lots of the numbers and limits for everything, including messaging and chat, have gone up. As well as meetings and calls. So total number of people that you can have in a meeting is 300. At the same time, only 49 can show up in video on the screen at any particular time. Live events we really didn't cover, but you can have a maximum of 10,000 attendees in a live event and a maximum of 4 hours in an event. Maybe at another time we might do a demo of live events. So these are the things that we went through just a second ago: focus mode, the whiteboard, and live captions. So another new thing that's come in, it's been in some of the other apps. Again, Microsoft playing a little bit of catch up, Snapchat filters. So obviously you need to have the Snapchat app installed on your device. And basically you're just going to change the camera that you're using to the Snapchat camera. And you can do all kinds of fun and silly things, I suppose, to spice up and liven up maybe a meeting a little bit, especially if you're doing a social type meeting with other team members and after hours events or something like that. The Snapchat is a little fun thing. So the next thing I wanted to show you is the Meet Now within channels. And some of you might say, hey, I thought this was already there, but I just want to take you back in here into Teams and just sort of point out a couple of things about this feature. So obviously in any kind of a chat, you have the Meet Now and Call Now features. Within Teams and within channels, this button here didn't always exist, and the ability to meet now or schedule a meeting. but you can through here. I'm going to ask, because I just wanted to show you what happens when you do utilize this button and just start a meeting within a channel. So I'm going to ask Mary Ellen to go ahead and start a meeting within a channel. So I'm just going to jump over to a different one just to show you when you schedule a meeting within Teams, you're alerted, especially if you have alerts turned on, that that meeting has started, and it'll give you an opportunity to join that meeting. However, if I was just in a different channel, which I am right now, the only notification that I get is you can see this little um, video camera icon appears here in my listing. And that's really the only notification. I think they are working on a way to notify when somebody starts a channel meeting. If I happen to be within that channel working, I will see this pop-up come up here and the opportunity to join. But those are really the only two notifications or indications that somebody has started a meeting. All right, Mel, you could go ahead and end that meeting if you don't mind. So in starting that meeting, very simple, obviously just clicking on it. You could schedule a meeting from here as well. Very, very simple. The other feature I wanted to show was popping out chat. I don't know if any of you really knew this existed. There's a few different ways that you can do it. There's a little icon here to pop out the chat. You can also do it through the 3-dot menu. There's also another icon over here to pop out the chat. So if you happen to be working and chatting with a few different individuals or groups, and it seems like there's a conversation going on at the same time, you can pop several of these out and just sort of have them up on your desktop just to be alerted and be able to quickly respond to people if you want to. The meetings pop-out feature, you've probably already recognized this, but it is sort of a new thing. Before, when you started a meeting, the meeting would actually start within the initial frame. Now it does this pop out so that if I'm running a meeting and I want to look at something in Teams, I can sort of go back and forth between the two windows. But it is a new feature. I'm sure everybody's sort of just used to it by now. This new conversation button, again, is also new within channels. Again, before this button was here, this is what you would have seen, and it was a little bit confusing. Everybody, even if you're responding to a particular thread, would just go down here, and then the replies, and nothing was altogether as the way it's supposed to be. But this button just makes people think twice and think, am I starting a new conversation, or should I be going up and hitting reply to a previous conversation, and thus keeping all the conversation, the thread, the documents, etc., all grouped together as they should be. Lastly, just wanted to show you the file sync button. A lot of you may either not have noticed that this was here, or but it is a newer feature both here as well as if I had a file open. Just clicking on the sync button will sync your files. If you had multiple people working on the file recently, just to make sure you have the most recent updates before you either open it or download it or whatnot. So let's just jump back into our presentation. We've kind of gone through all those things. Now I just wanted to highlight for everybody just a few of the things that are actually upcoming within Teams. So the Tasks app and the Planner app is getting a little bit of overhaul, and they're sort of combining the two into a Super Tasks app, which will be called just that, Tasks app, very soon once they roll it out. So the cool feature with that is that you can have tasks and to-dos and whatnot for your people that will span across all of your Microsoft applications, Outlook, OneNote, Project, SharePoint, Azure DevOps, if you use that, as well as Teams. So we do use a sub-feature of this within our meetings. Shell will be giving you a quick look at that later on. But everything works together and is seamless if you do use tasks. Or it might be an impetus for you to start using tasks and be able to track them across all your Microsoft applications. Another new thing that's coming is live reactions. So when you're doing a presentation, kind of like I'm doing right now, to several people, and you don't want to interrupt people by butting in and saying, "Oh wow, this is awesome," especially if people have their mics muted and things like that. You will have the ability to just float up icons, and basically that's what happens. You can see a little heart icon, and it basically just floats up along the video of that person. People just sort of saying, "Hey, I like what you're saying," with these emojis. Kind of cool. Dynamic view is a new feature that's going to be building on the together mode and the large gallery view. And basically what it's going to do is allow you to break up this large gallery view or together mode and allow you to keep certain key video of other people up present on the screen while you present maybe, and you could have both video and presentation side by side on the screen. It also, if you don't do anything, will use artificial intelligence to change the view for you and put up key people that you probably interact with more than others. So that's dynamic view. Another thing is new together mode backgrounds. So they're going to be adding some things in. Obviously, there's a lot of personal backgrounds that they've added in, which are new. But these new together mode backgrounds, there's, like the coffee shop mode and library mode as well. Just a few things. I'm sure they'll be adding even more than this, just building on that whole shared background kind of feature that, a little bit easier on the eyes and makes people feel like they're more together in one room. Virtual breakout rooms. If you're used to using Zoom, you may have been on a larger meeting where you did get pushed into a breakout room. So it's just good for like smaller discussions, or if you're doing, a team exercise with a larger group and you want to break into smaller groups again for discussion or things like that. So these breakout rooms will be coming and will allow you to do that within your teams as well. Another feature coming is video filters. So obviously you can change your background and things like that, but this video filter allows you to put filters on your video, like your appearance, change like background lighting and things like that. Make yourself look absolutely perfect before you turn on your video camera. And now I just wanted to show you, to kind of round things out, a couple of the apps and things that we personally use at Pace. I mean, there's a whole bunch of apps that you can get involved with in Teams, but one of the ones that we use is Poly, and Poly is basically a polling tool that we've used on a couple of occasions with our clients just to kind of take a poll. I'm just going to show you. So we have just that in our general tab under Pace Technical, and we have it as a quick link feature up here. So once I click on Poly, it brings you to a page that just shows some of the recent polls that you've done. So as an example, last October, we did a costume contest, and we used Poly for everybody to vote on who they thought was the best costume. Obviously, I came in a very close second place. Other things like asking people if they were okay with their presence being involved in social media, things like that. So to create a new poll, you just click on the create button here. Once you have Poly set up and activated, there's both a free plan as well as a paid plan. So there's some features, we're just on the free plan right now. There are some features on the standard plan that you can get. Instead of just doing polls, you can also do surveys, and there's a bunch of templates that you can access as well. So you can change the audience, make it recurring if you wanted to, do a poll once a month, once a week, every day, whatever the case is, and set reminders for people. And then the types of polls that you can do: multiple choice, open-ended question for a rating, things like that. Define your questions in here and add all the choices. And then poll settings allow people to add comments on the poll, change how results happen, whether The results are available to people either after the poll in real time, or you're not going to share any results with the members. And then lastly, if the audience can respond anonymously or non-anonymously, if you want to see who are the actual people responding to the poll. All right, so we're going to jump back in. I'm going to ask Shale to jump back on with us because he's going to talk about one of the apps that we use for our meetings called Decisions.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. Decisions, I mean, as Mike has pointed out several times during this, Teams is a massive, it's a critical app for us here at Pace. And certainly for myself as a CEO to be able to collaborate with my team, keep track of what's getting done and what's not getting done, and be able to really pay close attention to tasks and teamwork. So again, this has been a really huge thing for us. Decisions is an application that's separate from Microsoft that integrates with Teams. And basically what that does is it tracks and documents the meetings that are happening within Teams. It creates agendas. It's very easy to get from Microsoft App Store. Mike, if you just want to go to the next slide. This is what it looks like within Teams. You have a weekly project meeting. You can create agenda items within the meeting. You can do that through Outlook directly, or you can do it through Teams. As many agenda items as you need, and underneath those agenda items, you can create tasks for different. All of those things show up for everybody, and you can have discussions about it. There are notes within those tasks that can be updated, also within the agenda items that can be updated. And it allows you to keep really strict tabs and follow-ups from one meeting to another. All agenda items and tasks can be moved from one meeting to another if they haven't been completed. Next slide. You can share the agenda with the users in your Teams channel, or certainly through the Teams channel, or through a meeting invitation and email, as you usually would in Outlook. Complete and total integration. Users will be able to, suggest the topics, add agenda items, edit agenda items, leave comments, and upload attachments to topics that they are responsible for. And you would be able to assign people to each different agenda item that they're responsible for, and it will automatically create follow-ups for them to see. Again, it integrates completely in Outlook and Teams, as well as what Mike said, Microsoft Planner, which is where our management team works most of the time. Next slide. This is the part of Decisions that is fantastic for us as an ISO 9001 2015 company. The mandatory requirements of being an ISO company is that you very, very accurately track the minutes of every single meeting that happens within the organization. Well, Decisions allows you to do that. So once a meeting is done, there's just a simple button that you would click on within Outlook and or Teams itself. It merges the agenda into a Microsoft OneNote or Word meeting, depending on what you want, and it creates an actual agenda, an actual minutes document. And that minutes document can be emailed directly to everybody after the meeting, and it will also be stored in SharePoint when your ISO auditor or any auditors, if you're in the middle of an investigation or something along those lines, that you can go back and track what was discussed at that meeting. It's a very easy process, and it posts directly to SharePoint and is available either through SharePoint or directly through the Teams meeting in Outlook or in Teams itself. Next slide. Allows you to run the meeting, an organized meeting with features like time tracker, speak now, secure voting, all those things that Mike had been discussing integrate with Decisions and will document themselves not only within Teams, but within Outlook itself. Next slide. As we said, you can manage tasks. This is how our management team works. Tasks are created every single day For our team huddle at 11 o'clock, if a task has not been completed the day before, it simply gets moved from one day's huddle agenda to the next day's huddle agenda. Very simple to do, and we can track it and see how long something has been out in play. It can easily be marked. You see the little circles there, easily be marked as complete, and it will disappear from the screen itself. So the owners of that, and certainly myself as the CEO, can go back and look and see who's completing tasks quickly, which tasks are causing problems, how many, and how many people are involved in each task. And it is critical to be able to manage a team properly. Again, assignment owners receive email and reminders as action items are due. It integrates, again, completely with Outlook, Teams, and Word. Next slide.
Okay.
That's it.
I think that was it. Yeah, and we use that feature highly because, as I mentioned before, we have daily huddles in every department, weekly meetings and whatnot. And I will say, like, you don't have to be an ISO 9001 company to get the value of being able to really structure your meetings as well as track your meetings, get everybody on the same page by putting in what sort of tasks and things like that they're working on and what they've completed, gets everybody on the same page, and then getting the minutes digest sent after the meeting that you can go back and refer to. Again, you don't have to be an ISO company to benefit from those things, because I think any business that has internal meetings and they run it over Teams can certainly benefit from that. Anyways, thank you very much, Shale. And that kind of completes everything. We just wanted to throw, because it is in honor of Cybersecurity Awareness Month, just a simple offer for people that aren't working with PACE. Certainly, if you're a client of PACE, talk to your strategy team. I'm sure they're already speaking to you about all these things or taking care of all these things for you. But if you're not a client of PACE, we're just offering basically just sort of a free checkup for your business, just helping you understand where you stand with cybersecurity, around IT process and procedure, and then disaster planning and continuity as well. So if you just send us an email to offers@pacetechnical.com and say, I'm interested in having a conversation, we'll go ahead and set up a time that we can arrange with you. So that basically ends the presentation for today, and we're going to open up to Q&A, but I just threw up my email address here as well, mike@pacetechnical.com. If there was any questions further that you had, or you want to have a conversation about Teams, IT in general, anything like that, I'm more than happy to have a conversation. So let's check and see what's going on. So a couple of the questions, and I'll just start reading. Thank you for your questions, Nitin. His first question was, why Teams over Zoom? And why is this webinar being done through Zoom and not Teams? And is Teams included with Exchange Online Plan 1 and Office 365 Business Premium subscriptions? Thanks. Okay, well, I hope, let's start with question 1, why Teams over Zoom? Well, Teams adds in the additional collaboration. Well, first off, it's a Microsoft platform and integrates with all of your Microsoft platforms, Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, etc. In addition to just the video meetings and whatnot, it adds in the document sharing capabilities as well. And everything is run and backed up and stored on SharePoint. So everything in this cohesive. So you have both the communications pieces where you can do meetings and things like that over audio and video, but you also have the collaboration on documents and that whole feature as well, which kind of differentiates very much from Zoom. Why we're doing this on Zoom and Teams, the only challenge comes into play. I don't want to overload my teams by doing we have to demonstrate, video calls and things like that, which I can't really do effectively with I can't do multiple video calls within Teams at the same time. So I'm using one to do the overall Zoom, and then it allowed me to run back and forth within the features of Teams. But certainly I could have ran this potentially over Teams as well if I wanted to. And is Teams included with Exchange Online Plan 1? I'm just wondering if Noman happens to know the answer to that particular question.
I don't think it's included with Exchange Online Plan 1. That's an older plan from Microsoft.
Right.
As you showed in your slide, it's actually included with the Business Basic. That's a minimum plan that the team come with.
Yeah. So Nitin,
which is not much of a difference in cost as well, right? Like I think it's only like $1 difference between the two plans.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, but thanks for the very good questions, Nitin. And if Nitin, you can certainly get in touch with us if you wanted to ask a little bit more about the particular plans and making sure you have one that that includes Teams. So next question here, can Microsoft Project be integrated with Microsoft Teams? And the answer is yes. I don't have a demo available of that functionality, but I'm sure there's lots of information out there. One of the interesting things about Microsoft Teams, certainly the suite of Microsoft apps and whatnot, including Microsoft Dynamics 365. And I'm not sure who here has ever looked into like the Dynamics products such as CRM. There's a financial application called Business Central, and customer service based apps and things like that. Everything within the Microsoft system is done on what's called a common data architecture, which allows Microsoft to build and integrate very easily these products together. So the answer is yes. I can't necessarily demo it for you right now, but certainly we could have a conversation later, or I'm sure even on the Microsoft site, YouTube and whatnot, there's tons of content available to show you specifically how to integrate those two. When are Teams breakout rooms supposed to be available? I believe that is coming up a little bit later this year, and it'll probably be a staged rollout. You know, some people will see it initially and it'll slowly roll out to all of the users, but there has not been an official date announced just yet, but I'm sure they'll announce something soon. In Poly, can you limit who can participate in the poll? I believe you can. Like there's options for where you do the poll. So like you can do a poll within an individual channel within a team and just limit it in that regard. I think you can just individually invite people into a Poly poll as well if you wanted to, just through the Poly app itself. Since this is an add-on Poly, does it come at an additional cost? For the free version, the answer is no, but the standard version of Poly is a paid version, so you would have to pay something for that. And the next question, is there further training available for decisions? So I'm not sure about that. We in particular don't have any specific training on decisions. Maybe Shale would be able to answer that question.
I can certainly answer it. Decisions is a third-party application, so it's not made by Microsoft, but they have a really good support team. I was just on a meeting with them this morning. We're just working through some tweaking that we want to do on our site themselves, and they will absolutely accommodate your training and talk your team through whatever needs to be spoken through. It is not a hard application to understand. We use it, like I said, religiously all the time. Hope that helps.
All right. So that's all the questions. At least I believe that is all the questions that I had. If you have any other further questions, again, you can email me directly, mike@pacetechnical.com. And I hope everybody is staying healthy and watching out for themselves. And we hope to speak to you sometime soon. Goodbye, everybody.